It gives me great pleasure now to welcome to the stage a man who has dedicated his life to Olympism. He is one of the few people in the world who have been in attendance at every Olympic Games since 1964. Whew.
That's amazing. Before I was born.
Was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, it was before I was born as well. Well, first in 5 Olympic Games as an Olympic sailor, and then since 1976 as Finland's IOC member. Please welcome a man full of Finnish Olympic heritage, Mr. Peter Tallberg.
Whoa.
Hello.
Hey.
My first games were 1960.
60?
That's way before I was born.
That's even better. Anyway, you've been to so many great sporting events, big sporting events. How would you define how important, how significant is this conference?
Well, this is one of the most important conferences altogether. I'm sorry for a bad voice, but this is the most important conference we could have in Finland.
Now, you have been involved in making this reality. And of course, it's a lot through all the people you met through sports over the years. And you brought a photograph. Okay? So, bing. Oh, that's an interesting photograph, isn't it? There it is.
Oh, there they are. Who are these people?
Yeah, would you tell us a little bit? When was this taken and who are the people in the picture?
Well, actually, in 1981, President Samaranch asked me, said, well, there are 38 Olympic gold medal winners in Baden-Baden, Germany. And I have decided that there will be formed an athletes commission within the IOC. And you, Peter, you are, until now, the only IOC member who, whilst being an IOC member, has participated in the Games, which I did in Moscow. So he said, you will choose 6 athletes that will be the first IOC Athletes Commission, and you will have to choose people who are interested in decision-making, and not only to jump and run and play on the field. So I got this task, and if you look at those people...
So they're your choice, Peter, they're your choice.
This was my choice, yes, and together with Donna de Varona, who is also here today. Donna was helping me in Baden-Baden. Most to the left, you see somebody quite important, Sebastian Coe.
I recognize Sebastian, sure.
Where is he today? He leads the British Olympic Committee and organized the London Games, a decision maker. Number 2, on that side, is Vladislav Tretiak, the Russian ice hockey president who just won the World Championships for Russia in ice hockey.
Yeah.
Then in the middle, the lady is Svetlana Tsetova. She is today a technical director of International Road. Then you have me, myself.
Looking good, looking very good.
Younger.
Still looking good.
Then you have Kip Keino, the runner from Kenya, today president of the Kenyan Olympic Committee. Very good guy. And then most to the right, Ivar Formoe. He was a Norwegian skier. He unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. So this was actually the group.
But there's one guy you sort of skipped now. There's a gentleman in a white shirt that looks slightly familiar.
Yes.
Who would that be?
The small guy in the white with the funny sort of thing around here. I guess that must have been Thomas Bach.
Yes.
Welcome, Mr. President.
Welcome to the President of the International Olympic Committee, Mr. Thomas Bach.
Looking good still.
Hello.
Welcome. Please, Jordan.
Thank you very much for this really nice welcome. I don't know whether I like this photo too much, but everybody has his sins in the youth. So, Mrs. President, I'm afraid my list of names is even longer than yours. So I say, Madam President, Halonen, all protocol observed. Maybe I should say welcome to Monsieur Piaf, who surprised us with this performance here. I have to admit that I did not sing. This is why it was so harmonious here in the room, because my only musical talent is my name, and therefore it is really a pleasure being with you here today, even if it is not my free will. Because you just saw my boss and teacher in the IOC, Peter Tallberg, introducing me. And so you can imagine what happened when he asked me whether I would not attend this conference in Helsinki. So knowing Peter a little bit, I took this invitation as it was meant to be. I took it as an order, and here I am. So I was not too disappointed that I was not allowed to stand up because of former participations in conferences here. But I was, however, disappointed that you were not asking who has already visited the place of the 7th conference. And because then this would have given me the opportunity to stand up and to stand up alone, because I was just last week in Botswana. And I can tell you the stage is set for you. But now we are here in Helsinki, we're in Finland, a country which is very proud about all its achievements in women's rights, and having granted the right to women to vote already in 1906. Sorry, Mrs. President, 6 years earlier, the International Olympic Committee had already opened the Olympic Games to women. It was, admittedly, it was a small, little step, and it was only about active participation, but because when it came to leadership, then it took some years more, some very few years more, about 80. But then, since then, we are really developing in this direction, and we are trying to defy discrimination and social pressure, to allow women to compete and to participate in decision making. Because also in this respect, it is true that the Olympic Games, that the Olympic movement, that sport is always about breaking down walls and building bridges. And sport has been and continues to be a vital tool to show that this is possible. And this is written down in the Olympic Charter, our constitution, where we say that sport should be available to all, regardless of gender, race, ethnicity, or any other form of discrimination, be it social or be it because of sexual orientation. The Olympic Charter compels the IOC to encourage and support the promotion of women in sports at all levels. As a sport organization, we cannot force countries to change their legislation, but what we can do is giving an example that it is possible, that a society based on these core beliefs is possible and does even work better. Women have competed at the Games since 1900. There it was a percentage of 2.2. Now in London 2012, that figure was approaching parity with about 45% of competitors being women athletes. And some of the most important teams, like Team Finland, for example, thank you and congratulations, Team Finland, and some other teams had more women members than men. The London Games also saw another significant landmark, with women competing in every sport. And we are particularly happy to be able to say that for the first time, every National Olympic Committee had sent women athletes to an edition of the Games. In this respect, we know that this goes not without saying that we have to work closely, also in the future, with our National Olympic Committees, with colleagues in different countries of the world. But it is not enough to send women to the Games if girls are denied opportunities to participate in sport every day. On a recent trip to Saudi Arabia, we heard of the progress the sporting movement is making in that country to finally introduce sport for young women in the education system. We offered our help and that of our colleagues at the international federations in introducing a plan of action. And we are happy that signals of progress are being made. The Advisory Parliament has, in the meantime, proposed to encourage girls to play sport and even to make it part of the school curriculum. We hope that the government of Saudi Arabia will follow this recommendation, and that soon also in Saudi Arabia we will see girls practicing sports every day in their life and at their free choice. We are all here today to celebrate the signing of the Brighton Declaration 20 years ago, a call to action for government, civil society, business, universities, research institutions, and sports organizations. Indeed, the IOC is happy and proud to be one of the first signatories of this groundbreaking document. We have all of us made a lot of progress over the last 20 years, and the IOC, we will continue to spread our values and work towards equality. As you all know, it is not easy to change cultural norms that have been passed down from generation to generation. It requires a team effort by players at all levels, and every step counts. But sports can help to change attitudes and show how women can and should play an equal role in sport at all levels, and by extension in society at large. Every step counts. That also means that the journey is not over yet. The IOC's Women in Sport Commission ably led for many years by Anita de Franz, who is with us here this evening, a member of the IOC Executive Board, has been a catalyst for positive change in 3 priority areas. First, increasing participation in the Olympic Games and access to sport at the grassroots level. Second, promoting gender equality in sport. Third, increasing the number of women in sports leadership roles. And with regard to this, we must do more. We must do more to bring women into the sports leadership. We have seen what women can do on the field of play, but we definitely need their intellect, their energy, and their creativity in the administration and management of sport as well. 2 decades ago, the IOC set a goal of having at least 20% of sport decision-making positions filled by women by 2005. The IOC has achieved this goal, and I'm happy to report that in the IOC Executive Board we have now 4 women out of 15 members overall. And we hope very much that women athletes increasingly move on from competing to taking up roles in administration and management, that they are ready to take responsibility also after their sporting career. Our work continues, and following the recommendations from the 5th IOC Conference on Women in Sport just 2 years ago in Los Angeles, the IOC developed a strategic plan with a series of concrete actions to close the gender gap in sports leadership. The new initiatives include mentoring programs, using role models from sports and sports administration, and enhanced outreach to ensure gender balance. The IOC supported training for almost 4,000 female administrators and managers during the last Olympiad from 2009 to 2012, with more training programs to encourage self-empowerment and build leadership skills. The IOC is also providing coaching and athletic scholarships, as well as degree programs for women. More than 100 female coaches, almost 600 female athletes, and almost 50 female teams striving to participate in the 2010 Vancouver and the 2012 London Olympic Games benefited from these kind of scholarships. Just recently, I had the privilege to sign a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations to maximize the collaboration across both our organizations. Indeed, it was UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon who said, UN values, United Nations values are Olympic values. In this respect, this agreement will strengthen our work in a range of fields, including quality physical education in school settings, girls' and women's empowerment, and healthy lifestyles promotion. The IOC is already working with UN Women and with UNESCO and other stakeholders, but we plan to create an observatory for women, sport, and physical education that will help measure progress towards equality. Another new initiative will create a digital platform to highlight successful programs and best practices and make them available for everybody. We're also taking action to improve our own record. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to announce new IOC commissions, and as a result, there were 22 more women added to all the commissions. There were 2 more women chairs for the commissions, and the female representation from Africa was increased by 50%. The IOC can and will help lead the change but we also want to be the change. And in this respect, we will have a broad discussion on gender equality and all related issues during our Olympic Agenda 2020 discussion, starting with working groups from the Monday on, where we will address these issues, where we will develop new ideas, I hope, where we will give the initiative for new actions, and we are really looking forward for your input into this discussion, into this Olympic Agenda 2020, to tell us how you see our potential, how you see our possibilities, and which advice you can give us. You're very much welcome. And then I hope that at the end of the year, our IOC members will approve this paper of change, will approve this Olympic Agenda 2020, and show that sport has a great value as an effective tool for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. To make more progress in our quest for this gender equality and open access to physical activity for girls and women worldwide, we need close cooperation with governments, educational institutions, the private sector and civil society at all levels. We cannot do this alone. We need to partner up with the society at large, and we need to partner up with you. There, again, every step counts. And being here today, for me at least, is an important step. The IWG and all of you are also leading the change, and I would like to thank you for this. I will leave here convinced that sport can play an important role in building the bridges to end discrimination, and I will leave here as determined as ever that sport can send this powerful message to the world. Enjoy this conference. Don't forget that with all the interesting and important discussion, sport and physical activity is also always about joy in life. So enjoy the conference, have a fruitful discussion, and send us your recommendations as soon as possible. We are looking forward to this. Thank you very much for having me here.
You have flowers. We have a little surprise for you, Mr. President.
Thank you for your commitment.
Thank you very much. Where are you coming from? Who told you to be here?
Kaisala.
Huh? Huh? You liked it to come here, or you were told to come here?
Kaisala. Thank you.
You are a very diplomatic girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice haircut.
Yes. President Thomas Bach. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you. Good. President Bach, you can't sing, but you definitely speak very well. Very well. Thank you for all those commitments. Thank you so much.
This time it will be so much better.